Today's video is a clip from a recent live stream we did with Dave of Minnesota Sports Talk and Alexis, where we discussed what to do with some players we all know and love and have been on this team for a long time. There's going to be some tough decisions to make. We break down those decisions in this video. Hope you guys enjoy. Let us know in the comments what you think we should do with some of these vets. Enjoy the video.
SKOL Vikings.
But now it's time to move on to something a little bit depressing. Look at some of the veterans on this team, and that's part of the issue. You know, turning over this defense is going to be a little bit more than just a coach. There are going to be some decisions that need to be made, and a lot of it is going to be people that we have been accustomed to watching the last 10 years on this team. And I feel like, unfortunately, it's going to be time to let some of these guys go, whether via trade, cut, what have you.
And we're cowards, so we brought Alexis on to make the cuts for us.
So,
but I feel like
I'm the worst. I'm like, everyone can just stay here.
We'll pay you more money.
We'll figure it out.
So, like, Alexis, when it comes to sports,
we picked the wrong person to make the cut.
I mean, well, it also depends who's our defensive coordinator going to be, because then I would pick different players for different coordinators. Like, if you get Flores,
very true.
Let's assume it's a 3-4. Let's assume it's Flores or someone like Flores.
I would keep Harrison Smith if we're blitzing a lot. He's just, that's what he does, and he's so good. And I don't care what age he is. I will never cut him. He's my one person I would save. If we were on an island, I'd save him.
And that's the thing. If they can get by with restructuring him, I mean, I think that's kind of a no-brainer move right there if he decides to stay for less money. But I don't know. I just felt like with the way that his last press conference was after the game in the locker room, it kind of struck me as a guy that knew he might be done soon. I don't know. I could be completely wrong here, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, first guy on the list, Adam Thielen. I personally, I hate to say it, Minnesota growing boy, obviously, phenomenal career for an undrafted guy that had to take a tryout to get on the squad. But looking at his cap number here, $19.967 million cap number. If you straight up cut him, 13.5 in dead cap, 6.4 million in savings. If you do a post June 1st cut, you save the 13.4 million. I hate to say it, but I think Thielen is, unless he agrees to some sort of pay cut or restructure, but the way that his camp is making it sound like is that's not what he's looking for. He still thinks he can be a contributing number 2 receiver in this league. I personally think he gets cut. I think it's the only agreement they can come to, and I don't think Adam Thielen is on the Vikings next season, unfortunately. Hate to say it, but I don't know. I think that's what happens here.
I gotta agree.
I want to know why he ran sideways so many times.
Right?
Like forward.
And Justin Jefferson's pointing that way. I don't.
Yeah, Justin's going
up
pointing that way.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing about the only thing that possibly potentially would save him to be a Viking is that, we're going to wait till June to cut him and not do it sooner, right? Because we're going to save a hell of a lot more money.
No, it does not. You cut them now, but you just designate them as a post June 1st.
Oh, you can do that?
It's how that works. Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean,
only up to 2
you can do it to like 2 players a year, and it just kind of spreads out their cap hit.
We got a lot of players in that situation, though, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, but you can only do 2.
Yeah, you can only pick 2 to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess if we do release something like that, and there's it's almost like a no-brainer to do it, and the only way then is if he does, and it's not restructured because we're not going to kick the can down the road,
right? It'd be a pay cut
anymore. He has a void year already. We're not going to do any more of that. So the only way is to him take a 1 year, prove it year with us, but he's not. I don't think he's got too much pride. He thinks he can still play.
Right.
I think he can still play. I have no doubt about it. He's not. I've seen a highlight reel of him recently of all those awesome plays he did. Dude was lightning compared to what he is now.
I just think the injuries caught up to him, unfortunately.
Yeah,
he did bang his knee earlier in the year, but there was a couple of games that he kind of didn't look good. But then there was other ones that he really helped us, and he's still at the hands.
Right.
He's still.
He dropped more passes this year than he normally does. But I also think that, who knows? Maybe he's right. Maybe that the team just, I don't know, maybe Kevin O'Connell's wanted to get Justin Jefferson and KJ more involved, and maybe his usage wasn't correct. Like, maybe they could have tried to force the ball to him a couple more times, but I don't know. Just seeing the sample size we have plus that contract, I mean, it's just it might be the thing where they're going to give him two options, like either A, you retire in your hometown team, the only team you've ever played for, it's a cool story,
or you want to see him retire,
which is where I feel like he would go.
Please,
where
he would go to the Packers.
I hope not.
Aaron,
I don't think
his wife.
But Aaron Rodgers might not be there.
I know. I don't know if Aaron's going to be there. I'm hoping he's not. I don't think he's going to. But his wife's family is from there, and I feel like they need a wide receiver. They need more.
He also says it's the worst stadium in the league.
I know.
He's a Minnesota grown boy.
Digging up her stuff and how she likes them recently, and it was a big thing, and she got mad. I like him and his family. His foundation is amazing.
Right. For sure.
I don't. Yeah, the hate leave here because he's been here for so long, and he's always restructured to help out the team. He's always been a team player, and I hate letting go of players like that aren't selfish. But he's probably getting to the point where he has to be selfish because he needs as much money as he can get the last couple of years. And if I were him, I would explore my options. But it can't be his choice, right? He's contracted. We'd have to let him go.
Yeah, which I would assume is gonna. I mean, that's worst case. If he wants to keep playing, that's probably what would happen here. But that's the thing. Like all the hate he's getting, him and his family are getting right now, I think it's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, if anything, his wife is just being a good businesswoman for him. Like, trying to, basically kind of put it out there that he either wants to be involved in the offense more or he wants out and go somewhere else and see what he can do. So I hold no bad feelings against Thielen for any of this. I mean, how could you? So, but that's number one guy here. Looking at the second veteran, Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith.
That's just like, nope, save, go to the next guy.
I mean, Harrison Smith cap number upcoming season, a little over 19 million. If you cut him, it's 11 million in dead cap.
$20 million safety right there.
$7.3 million cap savings, which is why with that breakup, it does kind of, if he's willing to take some sort of a pay cut / restructure, I could see him doing it. I mean, he strikes me as the type that wants to, like, he's always kind of seemed like the guy that 100% wants to stay on the same team and wants to stay.
Yeah, he says he's wanting to retire a Viking.
A Viking, he will.
Yeah. So I would think he's the most likely one that would take some sort of a restructure pay cut to stay for the last couple
you're not going
to
put Bynum over him.
Right.
And
I mean, Bynum and Scene would be a risky setup there.
I think he's the most important veteran we have on that defense, in my opinion, as far as his leadership and stuff. And
also, he babysits that secondary. Him and Duke ran into each other. Duke Shelley ran into each other the last game, and I'm like, what are they doing? Like, do you not see? Like, does anybody not know where they're going? So I feel like it's not him. I feel like it's the young guys coming in. The scheme was hard, and they always make him follow whoever the ball's going to is weaker, and he has to babysit them, and he doesn't get free range. They didn't blitz him a lot, which they should have. Yeah. And I don't know. I still think he's good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not. Like, he doesn't have the same speed that he had as a young player. Which, I mean, why would you when you're getting to his age? But there's definitely still a lot of talent there. So
I think I'm older than him. I think I'm actually older than him.
Yeah, I don't know how old
he's like 33.
Yeah, I'm older than Pat Pete. We say old and they're 30. And it's like, it's not old. It's old in football years, but they're really not old.
Right. Yeah.
That.
Which is
by the way, listeners, by the way, listeners, make sure you let us know if you would cut Thielen or you'd cut Smith. Put it in the chat. Make sure you hit like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you go to GG Sports Podcast. Make sure you go to. I'm plugging your show, man. I'm plugging your show. GG Sports Podcast. Go over there and click subscribe. All right. And we also have Alexis's Twitter handle in the description of the video. Go give her a follow. She literally tweets about football nonstop all day long. I think I proved that today. Yeah. Who's the next guy?
Well, moving on to my next person.
Who's the next person Alexis is cutting?
This one's my favorite.
What's the overall status on Smith, though? So try to restructure with Smith.
You'll have to restructure him for money. We have no money.
Yeah, if that doesn't work out and he doesn't want to restructure,
I cry.
I think we have to cut him.
I don't know, but maybe. I don't know. It'll be an interesting.
I don't want him. He's one of the veterans I want.
Bynum, Scene, and Metellus coming back.
I forgot about Metellus. Yeah.
There's enough possibilities there to let him go.
No.
But this one here is an easy choice for me.
We're saying if he doesn't restructure, he doesn't. If well, he doesn't restructure, a lot of times you have it built in your contract to restructure. I think you guys might be thinking about taking a pay cut. That's different because Vikings can restructure his contract.
The same amount of money as a signing bonus.
You're just giving him signing bonus and spreading it out.
Yeah,
and adding void years. But
I mean, how much do you think he's worth a year at this point, straight up?
I'd say at least 10. What is the vet minimum now? I don't even remember.
Like, isn't it like just over $1 million or something like that?
Yeah, it's so low that I say
I feel like Patrick, $6 million, $7 million for him.
Like 10? I'd say 10. Guys, he's so good.
I love Harrison Smith so much.
Pat P was 10 the year before, but he ended up signing for 4 this year.
Okay, so the first year we took him at 10.
Yeah, he was like 10 million the first year and then 4 the next.
Wasn't it like 8 million base with like 2 million in incentives or something like that?
Better this year.
Oh, much better this year. He even admitted that, hey, he wanted a chance to prove himself again.
Yeah, and he did.
And
yeah.
100%.
That Mike game against the Cardinals, he was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was insane.
The Giants game though was not a good way to end it.
Yeah, he was terrible.
Nobody played good in that game.
This one's my favorite. I am ready to show Delvin Cook the door.
Oh no. Don't be excited.
Love Delvin Cook. Think he's a great locker room guy, great leader. In his prime, before all the injuries that he'd get once a year, twice a year, who knows how long?
This year, but not this year.
Casey hates Pro Bowlers. He doesn't like them.
Pro Bowl cut our Pro Bowl running back.
Cut our Pro Bowl alternate when there was
1,000 yards every year.
Yeah.
Anyway, Delvin Cook
played his first healthy year. For first full season.
$14 million cap hit, and this is the biggest issue. $14 million cap hit. You save over half of that if you straight up cut the guy. He has no trade value because he's an aging running back on a $14 million contract, unless you agree. Maybe if you agree to eat half the contract during the trade, but I don't know. I just think Delvin's time here has come to an end, unfortunately. Like I said, when he was at his full strength, the guy was talented as hell. And this is nothing against Delvin Cook the person, because like I said, I think he's gonna find.
I think Casey's got something against Delvin Cook the person.
I don't. He's gonna find a spot somewhere as like he'll probably start somewhere. But I don't. I'm just ready to see him off this team. Unfortunately, I just think the injuries, the untimely fumbles. Yes, he had a couple nice.
He stayed healthy this year. Give it to the man for staying healthy this year.
And a couple game changing and a couple game changing screen passes that he brought to the house for touchdowns. Like he still has that breakaway speed.
He won the Buffalo game.
Touchdown.
He won the Buffalo game, the Dolphins
won us the Miami game. I can tell you that I was there.
I was there.
And then the Colts game. So yeah.
But I mean, and I get that our offensive line isn't the best at blocking, but the fact that he'd get the ball and just kind of start a step and run into a defender and fall over, where Madison would actually get some positive yardage. Like
he went down easier this year than he has.
He did.
Madison is a free agent.
Yeah, Madison will be around.
But still, you can find a guy at any round of the draft.
That's why I'm investing in Ty Chandler. I got my Ty Chandler cards.
But I mean, I don't know. And this one is kind of. I mean, I hate to say it. It's kind of. I mean, not dumb. Like, Vikings, but the loyalty thing is a little bit like Vikings are loyal. I mean, Rick Spielman is loyal to a lot of these players, so I think Kwesi might come in and realize it's time.
Kwesi could disrupt the whole thing and just start just let them all go and regroup. But I also don't want to lose. Like, I don't want to be at that point where you rebuild and you're not good for a year. I couldn't handle a year like that.
And that's the thing. It's going to be tough to sell that. So and the competitive rebuild thing, I think, was almost like we're going to try our best with what we have and see how it goes. I think the fact he went 13-4 with a great offense, I think that's just clicked. Like, here's what we need to do. This defense needs fixing. We'll try our best to do it as soon as possible, while still selling the fact that this team can compete. Because without selling that, you're not keeping Justin Jefferson around here. He's not going to want, no matter how much money you throw at him, another team that has a better chance of winning will do that. And that's why when people talk about wanting to blow this roster up and start over, like, you get the best of both worlds. You can't do that and keep Justin Jefferson.
And win. Yeah.
Exactly. So
you can't do that and keep people that want to compete. You saw how Diggs acts when he loses ever.
Yeah,
for sure.
Is there running backs? Georgia, do they have a running back coming in out of the draft?
The big one is
the Texas
Austin,
kid, Bijan Robinson, the Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, Texas. Which he's a first round. He's going to probably be a first rounder, which we can't afford to wait. Use our. I think with Kenny
Nwangu and Ty Chandler, I think they could probably go into the season with that and get a guy late.
By the way, this one right here.
I like Cook. I don't know. Cook trips over his own feet more than anywhere, but he's made of glass.
He's also made of glass. Not maybe not blow it up, but I mean, and that's the thing. It's like Dalvin Cook, and back in his prime, he would break out of tackles really easily. Like he was like #1 guy in like breaking tackles, and I feel like that's kind of he gets shoe tackled a lot now, where someone will just hit him on the ankle and he won't.
And he stumbled when he tried to get a couple of times. He stumbled when the Buffalo game on the 3rd down.
He wouldn't have needed that much excitement.
Just he get a walk. It was like he fell down, and the Cousins he tried to throw it to him, and he just fell down.
They trip each other though. Like I see them run into each other sometimes. Or
this last play, the last play of the game,
he went to throw it up and he got tackled, and I was like, what just happened? But nobody blocked for him.
Yeah. He tripped Cleveland going out into his route, and then they got on that last play of the game, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
Jamie, did you not put Kendricks in the slideshow?
I think I did.
Did you?
I like Eric.
I did it.
Jordan Hicks. I don't think you put.
We need to get you have to have a big explosive running back. 1,000 yards is a lot of yards, and he does it consistently. So it's not like he doesn't.
How did I forget him?
His contract.
So my viewpoint on Cook is it would be the one thing is if we can entice if there's nothing out there for him, we could do the 1 year. Hey, you're going to be 29 as a free agent after this year. At 2024, you'll be a 29-year-old free agent. We'll give you $10 million guaranteed, or maybe that's too high for you guys. I don't know, but that's still less than the cap, the $14 million. Or we'll give him because he's got $6 million in dead cap, right? So we'd probably, pay him a higher guaranteed money than that, and try to keep him for 1 year while we develop these other running backs. But that would be my only probably possibility of him coming back.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The money is what's killing us.
Right.
Yeah. Just Purple for the Win today brought us down to 46 million under the cap. Yeah, he went through it and he got rid of everybody.
Yeah,
including CJ Ham. Sorry, Jamie.
Hey,
but
he's on this list.
He's on this list. We'll talk about him later.
But
let's move on.
But
we don't want to keep Alexis all night.
But someone that Jamie didn't put on this list though was
wait. Hold on a second. Go to the next player, Casey. That's on that list.
za'darius Smith?
Yeah.
He's erased the Vikings from social media, I think, right now.
Yeah.
He did?
Well, he deleted that before the Chicago game. I don't think that has to do with our team. He hasn't even been on our team long enough.
Yeah.
I think you keep him, especially if you're going to take the Mike Patine. He's going to keep him.
If we're going to,
I think if you're going to stick with a 3-4, yes. If you go back to a 4-3, no.
But if you go back to a 4-3, then you keep Hunter.
Yes, for sure. And I think it's kind of one or the other. To where I think if you stick with the 3-4, exactly. I think you got to trade away. Hunter for whatever you can get for him. I think you could still get a first rounder.
I want to keep Tomlinson though.
What's that?
I mean, Tomlinson.
I want to keep him. I think he was great.
I think that'd be a good idea.
I've made a point where if we went to a 4-3, we've solved our defensive line because Hunter would go back, Wanham and Jones would be the other sharing time, and we would have our 2 defensive tackles ready to go.
But also, but aren't Wanham and Jones more like stand up 3-4 linebacker?
I don't know. They played DN for us in the 4-3, so.
Yeah, but I thought they were kind of out of position doing that, though. They
could be. They're good. They're good. I guess weak side, outside linebackers in the 3-4. So maybe they are out of.
We need a linebacker.
And that kind of brings us into our next guy here, who is Eric Kendricks. Now, I love Eric Kendricks. He's been a stud on this team, top linebacker in the league for a long time. But looking at his contract, $11.43 million. Only $1.9 million of that would be dead. $9.5 million cap savings, which I feel like makes him the easiest choice to just straight up.
Well, you're going to have a cap casualty every year, right? And if his is going to be that low, it wouldn't be Thielen's. His is too much dead money. It'd be his.
Right.
So I think this is the most reasonable option. Plus, you got Brian Asamoah coming in.
And Jamie had to pick. And Jamie had to pick the picture with he has the biggest puppy dog eyes. And here we are discussing whether or not we're going to cut him.
Every picture of his has puppy dog.
Yeah,
puppy dog eyes, man.
And I think he's still going to lock on with. I mean, obviously with another team, be a good rotational piece. I just think his days is like a top one of the top middle linebackers in the league. Probably is, it's past, but he's still a talented football player as we've seen in years past. But just with that cap number and how much savings you could get.
Slow this year, though. I kept seeing the comments. He's so slow. He's not doing this and that, but that was also scheme too.
True.
It was also what he was trying to do is because he had to cover. He saw in that game when they were doing that handoff that Jones did, and he's pointing, it's going that way, but nobody's helping him. No one around him's getting it. And he runs one way, then has to try to cut back the other way, and he couldn't pull it
off.
And that really is
I blame the scheme more than I blame any of these defensive players.
That's what I keep saying. So I don't know how to evaluate them truly. Plus, they've been here for so long. Like Za'darius Smith, I would be like, sure, if he leaves, I would be okay. Not because I didn't like him. Great personality, great person on the team. Good at his job still, had a bunch of sacks.
Especially early in the season.
But I'm not attached to him. He hasn't been here long enough. So I'm like, all right, sure. You can go.
I mean,
Hendricks.
Nano Joe here said EK was also slow last year. But
EK was slow. There it goes.
He was also our leading tackler, and he had the most tackles of his career in 2021.
That's the thing. Our stats never equal up to the production.
I mean, and Jordan Hicks is considered slow and a terrible player, but he led us in tackles, and not many players get over 120 tackles in the season.
So lost the first couple games. Lost.
I don't know. But Hicks coming into I did a video on Hicks, coming into the season. He led us in tackles.
I know.
Had the most in his career. And I'm like, oh well, we're gonna have a good year. And no.
Yeah,
in 2020 he was hurt. So
But it is always weird though, because it's like I think this year we'll know if it's especially if we get rid of some of these players, we'll know if it's scheme and I think it was kind of the square peg round hole thing where you're putting guys that have played in the 4-3 for 8 years and trying to squeeze them into a 3-4 defense.
And we can't get rid of all of our linebackers.
No.
We won't have any linebackers.
We won't have any.
Yeah.
Was Chaz Surratt really not good? I don't know. I was excited when we drafted him, and then we never really
bad decision maker. When I watched him in preseason, he was like hitting the wrong hole and shit. And he wasn't. He was a quarterback that switched to linebacker, so his tackling skills were lacking.
Okay.
So I don't know.
He had bursts of good things, but wasn't all put together as a player.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if that was developed.
He was raw. He was really raw.
We saw some good play preseason out of Troy Dye. We didn't continue seeing him much. So I don't know what our plan is with him going forward. Maybe
he was a
special teamer.
He had flashes of being
good special teamer, and that's why he made the team.
Yeah.
Same thing with Boyd. Do you keep Chris Boyd? I think
because he's a really good special teamer. I think I have him on a different list actually. Yeah. I know Chris Boyd too, because obviously he isn't really much at all for cornerback for us, but
he was for depth because we got to the point where we had to put him on the field. We were that lacking in corners.
We went and got Shelley off the practice squad before starting him.
I don't know how we're so Zim drafted a corner every year, and I would scream, "Don't get another corner." As your first pick, please. And then now I'm like, we need a corner.
I know it is tough.
Yeah. It's ironic.
But we've already kind of touched on the next guy here, Danielle Hunter. Obviously, if you stick with it,
keep him.
If you stick with the 3-4, if you stick with the 3-4 though, unless someone's going to come in and just let him kind of be that interior guy and put his hand in the dirt, because when they actually started letting him do that near the end of the season, that's when the sack number started to come back up a little bit.
Right.
If you can find a way to fit him into this defense, I think that's perfect. I mean, cutting him isn't going to work.
Chasing a running back that's 24,
right,
You can't catch him, so I don't know what the point of that was.
No, that was ridiculous. But cutting him isn't going to work. Dead money is 18 million. Cap savings it's 5 million. If 5 million more than his cap number, so cutting him
would be a trade. He would be a trade option.
He has value.
He would be a trade out. He'd be like the one person that I think we could make a real trade for.
But his contract redo last year set up for this. People knew he wasn't going to play on this contract. His base salary is only 4.9 million. So it's basically either see how it was a prove it year. See how he plays, either extend him or ship him off to another team that will extend him. So and he proved he can still play. So he's going to get an extension one way or the other.
So when I had Luke Braun on my show, he was telling me, hey, they only play the 3-4 20% of the time anyways. And I said, well, that's why I don't want the 20% of the time where I have Za'Darius Smith covering Amon St. Brown in the slot.
Right.
I don't want that shit. So give me a defense with right players. And that's the situation where I brought up to him that, hey, the highest value for him is to trade him to a 4-3 team if we're going to stick with the 3-4. Because you can find a guy that, you could find a guy to fit into the 4-3 to do the production that he did with us because he could play every down. And in Danielle Hunter's situation, he was only effective if we had his hand on the ground and he was rushing the quarterback.
Right.
Yeah,
And
he doesn't do well standing up.
So
like Za'Darius Smith does.
Yeah, I'm big Danielle Hunter, and I think if we're in a 4-3 and he stays on this team, I still think he's good for us. Yeah. I just think in the value and what we could get back.
Yeah.
And
depending on what we can get
in
back.
The cap hit and stuff, all that.
The thing is like pass rushers don't grow on trees. It's hard to find a pass rusher like Danielle Hunter or Za'Darius Smith, and that's the biggest thing. That's the reason why outside of quarterbacks, those are the positions that get picked number one overall in the draft.
Yeah. Well, look at the Raiders.
That's a hard thing. Is like if we get rid of them, who knows the next time we're going to have a pass rusher as talented as we've been pretty spoiled with a lot of pass rushers as Viking fans, so we don't really know what it's like to not have one really. Right. But I know there's a lot of teams that wish they had a guy like Danielle Hunter and teams that never really had a guy like him.
Well,
so
look at the Raiders.
I'm worried about not having him.
Look at the Raiders when they traded away Khalil Mack. They didn't get another impact pass rusher until Max Crosby. So, and now look at him. I mean, obviously he's great, but like
it's great.
It's tough. But obviously, then we already touched on this next guy a little bit here as well. Jordan Hicks. Again, look at his cap number. Pretty straightforward. Cut him. 1.5 dead, $5 million in cap savings. Unless he agrees to some sort of a rework deal or a cut, or unless he either agrees to a pay cut or you rework his deal or something, like he's probably gone.
Which would leave us with Dye and Asamoah.
Right, which is like,
but that's why then you take your cap savings and you turn that around and sign another free agent.
Yeah,
or
and what would we get? Another guy like Hicks, right? That's what I'm worried about.
Right, I know that is especially
like we're going to take that cap savings to get another guy like Hicks.
Right,
and that's what I'm worried about.
It is only $6.5 million, so maybe you do just ride it out for another year with him as your other guy. I don't know. Or
I'd rather keep Kendricks and see if he'll do a restructure.
But Kendrick, he's already restructured his deal multiple times, though. He's doing
$10 million this year. Kendricks would want to leave, though. I think he would stay.
Like if you paid him, how much would you pay Kendricks? Like $6 million. $6 million. Yeah. So if he would restructure to that, that's like the same price as Hicks. I would rather do that. I don't know if he will. He might not, but I would definitely choose that.
Time will tell. I mean, and that's the thing, and we're going to know soon because before free agency, you're going to want to make all these moves, especially before the draft. So, it'll be interesting. Moving on to our last and final guy we have on our list here, CJ Ham. Jamie, obviously we know you're close to CJ.
Pay him more.
With them.
Pay him more.
He could have been
more
utilized
involved
so
in the passing game.
Yeah, he could have been utilized so much more.
Only a $3.8 million cap hit.
Look at Jamie. Look at Jamie look longingly into his eyes.
Is a fullback. I mean,
and that's kind of the tough part. And here's the thing: if you cut him, $750,000 dead, $3.05 million in cap savings. So you barely.
Alexis, Jamie went to high school with him, so he's a big fan.
I graduated high school with him. Too evil and hope, no, bro.
Ham needs to go. Why? Ham's never done anything wrong.
Too evil hope. He's told everyone to go. He doesn't. Do you?
What did he do to you? Too evil hope.
Yeah,
what did he do to you, man?
He
doesn't trip people. If you put him on the goal line,
he's an Augustana Viking, man. He's an Augustana Viking. Became a Minnesota Viking.
He's such a nice guy. See, this is why I couldn't cut players. They would come into the office and I'd be like, "You're so nice."
The thing that scares me about
here's more money.
Here's more money.
If we do cut Cook. I just feel like for some reason, I feel like if we lose Cook, we might lose CJ. And that's pretty much my concern.
Or Madison. They're all very close.
Right. And the idea is if you lose Cook, the whole fullback thing in KOC with the fullback thing, coming in and coming from the Rams defense where they didn't, or offense where they didn't use a fullback. So if it goes more to the Chandler Keeney type deal, maybe they decide to not use a fullback. Hopefully it doesn't happen. I want him to be our fullback until he's like 40 at least. So